Tim, how do you feel like the offensive line has played so far this season? You haven't shuffled the lineup with David being out and having to kind of move some pieces around.
Right. I think we've been really violent. I think we've kind of worked towards like what our goal is, trying to just be the most violent unit we can, especially control the line of scrimmage. You know, that's a really big piece of the game. You can't control the line of scrimmage. You can't do really anything but throw the ball. So we want to be able to, you know, be the guys that everyone relies on. So I feel like we've been playing well.
How much pride does the offensive line take that you guys are now 2 games in without allowing a sack?
Yeah, a lot of pride in that. It's not something that we dwell on a lot, but it's something. It's nice, you know, to keep the guy behind there, you know, keep him clean whenever it's possible. Something we focus a lot on during practice, you know, just making sure we're sound in everything we're doing.
So we talked about violence. Do you guys like have any categories or scoring or awards for, you know, who's the most physical or violent or anything like that?
The only thing we do track is like knockdowns. That's something we take a lot of pride in. But you know, I think our stance on it is it's something to be expected. You know, it's not something you should have to be awarded on. Something that, you know, it's the description of our job. We move people against their will. So it's not something you pat someone on the shoulder for. It's something you expect of somebody, I think.
And to do that, to be able to do that, do you have to play the guys up front? Do you have to play with a chip on your shoulder?
Yeah, it's something, you know, Coach Hype talks about every day. Every day, you got to go out and have a chip on your shoulder, no matter if it's a Monday or if it's a Saturday night or whoever we're playing. You just got to treat it like it's your last game you're going to play. So,
Sam, in years past, you know, George bring a lot of pressure up the middle. So far on tape, studying that team, what have you seen from that interior of the defensive line and, you know, some of their blitz packages?
Yeah, not going to get like super in detail, but you're right. They bring a lot of pressure, bring a lot, especially third down. You know, you see a lot of different stuff, a lot of twist games. That's something that we're really focusing on, is that interior twist piece. You know, controlling those guys at the line of scrimmage, like I said. You know, because if we have penetration there at the point of attack, you know, you can't really do anything else. You know, so we're just really focused on communication and being sound and like getting guys off their spot.
Sam, I know this is your first year here, but I mean, Tennessee's, had success against everybody in this league. This is the one thorn in their side. How much do you guys talk about, you know, just getting over the hump or using this as a measuring stick for what you want to be as a program?
You know, Georgia's always been a great team. You know, I have a lot of respect for what they do. But at the end of the day, like I said, we have to approach this like it's the last game you're going to play. You know, you got to approach this like this is the national championship. This is the game. You know, and every week you go into, you play a different opponent, but you have to treat them all the same. Like if you're coming in with the same mindset that you have to chip on your shoulder. Excuse me, I'm a little stuffed up, but sorry. If you just approach it with the fact that, you know, I don't care who you are across from me, I don't care where you came from, or like, you know, what position you're playing, or how much you weigh, or how big you are. We're out here to go about a common task. You know, we're about to move people off the line of scrimmage against the will. So, you know, it's going to be a great measuring stick. I do believe that. Like, to answer your question, I think that it's going to really set the tone for how we're going to be the rest of the year, for sure.
How would you assess your play through the first 2 games?
I have a lot of stuff to work on, for sure. Snaps can't happen. Just, you know, staying consistent with that stuff, IDs and stuff like that, staying consistent, staying in my notes, staying in my book, especially with the changes week to week. I think there's definitely stuff I can fix.
Sam, is there a fundamental thing on the snap? When you went back and looked at it, is it just a mental lapse, or what attributed that?
Yeah. What happened, honestly, I was spinning the ball in my hand, trying to make an ID. We're on tempo. I have to know. I knew we were on tempo. That's my fault, 100%. You know, it's nothing Joey could have done. It was a bad snap. Just making sure I'm set before I get all the way down the ball.
Obviously, David's been working his way back onto the field, but what have you seen leadership-wise from him on the sidelines, just trying to hype you guys up in any way?
Yeah, I think Dave's doing a good job just trying to lead from afar, especially because, you know, he's not in the action with us right now, but he's still doing his best on the sideline in the meeting room, especially with the guys like his grade and even us too. Like, you know, he'd come over to me today and he's like, "Hey man, get Diesel. It's that time. You know, we gotta put it on. We'll put on some more steam." I was like, "I know. Let's go, man." You know, he's just the guy there is kind of just bringing everybody's vibe up for sure.
Sam, have you always pulled this much? Have you been a pulling center, pulling guard as much in your career to this
right.
point?
I've pulled quite a bit. It's something that I've gotten a lot more comfortable with being here, especially in our offense. It's a hard thing to do. It's weird to look at on film for sure, but we work it a lot in practice, so I've gotten pretty comfortable with it.
How unique is it that all 5 can pull, and how much does that affect defenses, you think, that you guys can pull from any spot?
Right. I think that's I think it's something we have in our advantage. You know, we pull every position on the line in different schemes and different things we're doing, so it really just keeps people on their toes, I think, for sure.
Is it more challenging to pull from the center position than just a guard or a tackle?
100%. Yeah.
What makes that, obviously you gotta snap the ball, what makes that more challenging?
It just goes scheme to scheme, but just obviously snap first. You know, you can't do anything if the ball's on the ground or over his shoulder. Snapping, getting depth, footwork too. Footwork changes a lot just depending on what scheme we're working in, for sure.
Couple more. What's that chemistry like with you and Joey in terms of getting the line calls right? Because obviously you both need to be on the same page.
100%. I think me and Joe have just grown. You know, we grow day to day and stuff like that. We've gotten a lot closer with that. He understands, and like you said, like it has to be some type of like chemistry between center and quarterback. He knows when I'm trying to get to stuff, when they're stemming, he knows to give me like half a second to get a call out. Especially on third down, he's really patient with me. If I drop my butt and want to re-ID, he's always there, just never rushing me unless we're 2 minute. You gotta go. So yeah.
Obviously, you guys knew what to expect from him from playing with him during preseason camp. But has anything stood out about Joey on the field, before snaps, on the sideline from the first two games?
Yeah, I just think he's a tremendous leader. I think he's a veteran, and he shows that in his play and how he approaches the game. He's always upstairs watching film. He comes in our room and watch films with us, like especially when it's just us watching film, me and the guys. He'll walk in there and well, this is my mindset towards stuff. This is why I'm doing that. This is why I checked at this, and he's always being the guy who's like explaining what he's doing instead of just doing it, and because sometimes it's nice to know. Sure.
How does that maybe separate him from either other quarterbacks that you've played with, or just maybe quarterbacks in general not being maybe as involved as Joey is, it seems like, in every position group?
Yeah, I think I play with a lot of good quarterbacks. I will say that. Just the amount of time he's been in the sport and the amount of I guess hours he puts into his craft just makes it even easier to play ball with him. He's not a very not chaotic. He's always smooth, duck on water. He's there to pick you up when you're feeling down, and that's what we do in return, for sure.
Obviously, a lot of guys got a chance to play last week. What or who stood out or impressed you among that two offensive line that got a chance to play?
Yeah, I think all the guys really did well. I think they really took a step in first snaps for some of those guys ever in college football. So I think everyone handled it pretty well. Sat obviously played really well. The guards played really well. Ant or Gamoro played well, played physical. Tackles, Bennett, those guys, they played well. Bennett, I think, played with just like lots of effort, and that's what we kind of hang our hat on. We want to be out effort wherever we played. And they really went out there and played well, for sure. But yeah.
All right, thanks, Dan.
Thank
Thank
you.
y'all.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.